I refuse to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their gilt rings. Right, the bouncers' gilt rings.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day.
This is Umar for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. Late here in Cardiff, what a main event. One of the best fights of the year, for sure. High level, intense for 12 rounds. Just sum it up, Frank.
Yeah, unbelievable. And I don't think any of us thought that fight would be going 12 rounds. You know, when Cordina put him down early, what was it, the second round? Did that, and then Rakhimov wobbled Cordina, then Rakhimov's eye after 5 or 6. And, you know, for both of them, Rakhimov came on stronger as well, you know, towards the later rounds. So, tremendous fight from the two of them, and definitely could be a nominee for one of the fights of the year so far. 100%, you know, 12 rounds of action, and brilliant to see.
116, 111 to Rakhimov, one of the judges had it. Thoughts?
Horrendous scorecard. I mean, look, I thought it did get closer, you know, and I thought Joe won by a round or two, but it was a close fight. You know, I think looking at the stats, Joe on a percentage basis landed more shots, but Rakhimov threw more punches. But, you know, look, great fight, and, you know, 116, 111, awful scorecard, but rightfully the right man won, which is, you know, I know obviously it's important that we do something about the scorecards, but the right guy got the decision, which is the key.
Fine, yeah. You don't need to go to the post-fight presser. No, we're good. So, Eddie said in the ring, potentially Cardiff City, the football club. Him and Barrett sells out, you think?
Yeah, I think so. And the other option is I've seen there's been some shows at the Millennium Stadium over the years that they've sort of curtained down, you know, into a smaller venue. So maybe that's something we could look at as well. But, you know, seeing the atmosphere in there tonight, it's a shame this place only really holds 5,000 people, because you need somewhere at least that we can get 10, 12,000 in. But definitely think that's a big opportunity. And yeah, the Zelfa Barrett fight, you know, domestic fights always sell. Zelfa with a tremendous performance as well. But, you know, coming off the back of that, Joe's shown, you know, in the first time he won the world title, a tremendous stoppage, and then tonight he's shown how much heart and desire he's got to become a 2-time world champion. So, you know, I think he's going to get more and more fans behind him, and, you know, we got some big nights to come to Cardiff.
Yeah, fantastic for Joe tonight, and yeah, a good night's sort of action as well. Jordan Thompson, big statement stopping Luke Watkins. What do you think about that? Yeah,
really good performance. You know, he showed some action which was needed. You know, coming off the back of, I think it was the Vasil Duka fight where he got hurt late in that fight. And you know, all these fights are learning fights, but you know, great performance. I think he's going to step on now to some big fights.
You going to sign Gavin Gwynn?
I think we've got some options with Gavin Gwynn, so we definitely look to work with him. You know, especially if we're coming back here in September as well. You know, there's some great fights to be made in Cardiff as well for the undercard if we come back in September, sort of August, September time. There's some great fights to be made there, so definitely interesting. You know, and tremendous performance from him as well, and that was another great fight as well. You know, great card top to bottom.
Big night for Sandy Ryan as well.
Yeah, Sandy Ryan, world champion, deserved it as well. You know, when you think she took that challenge a few fights back, 3 or 4 fights back now, lost, but then came back and got the win again, and then to come to where she is now to fight for the world title, and then, you know, we've obviously got a deal in place for the winner, for, you know, McCaskill to fight for the undisputed if McCaskill comes through the Hazaban fight. So, you know, that's a massive fight, and you know, Sandy Ryan she truly deserves it because she's worked hard, she's been through the hard times, and you know, she got the win that she's been looking for, become a world champion.
Frank, just away from us, I know you've been in Malaysia recently in the Far East. You didn't have a stop in Saudi Arabia on your way back to London, did you?
No, I'm going next week actually. I'm going to Saudi next week. I was in Kuala Lumpur, which is quite an amazing place, looking to do some events across a range of sports there. You know, so I had some good discussions. It was an amazing place, as I say, and some big opportunity. But yeah, Saudi next week, so let's see what happens.
Do you think this will happen in December?
I think we've all done so much talking over the years about all these things and so much back and forth about it all. I would love for it to happen, as I'm sure all boxing fans will, but I think for the moment, let's just shut up, see how we get on. You know, like, as in, I know that's not interesting for people, but it's probably been to the detriment of so much talking from all different sides about these things. You know, we want to make the biggest fights for AJ, so hopefully we can do it.
And after your meetings in Saudi Arabia, when you and Eddie go, will that determine perhaps what happens with Anthony Joshua in the summer?
Yeah, I think like he came out as well, and he said he wants to fight. You know, he wants to look at the opportunity of the summer as well. But you know, I think I kind of feel like you can't let something stand in the way of keeping the momentum going. You know, because it's a long way away still. December. You know, we're still 7-8 months away from there. So I think there's still a lot of work to be done. I would still like to see some focus on a summer fight. But let's see how things play out over the next week or so.
Frank, I know you wouldn't have seen it, but BABIC got knocked out in the first round tonight. What do you make of that?
I saw clips of it. I saw him got put down and then he got stopped on the ropes, didn't he? I don't know whether it was maybe a bit early. I'm not sure. But I think, you know, Alan's always going to be involved in good fights because he's an entertaining fighter inside and outside the ring. So it's not the end for Alan BABIC, but, you know, he's a nice guy. I always got on with him. You know, it's not, like I say, still some big fights to be made. I think maybe you should look to go back to heavyweight now.
Yeah, also on that bill in Poland, we saw Martin BAKOLE get a win. Promoter Ben SHALOM did say he's going to push for WILDER BAKOLE, and it's the fight that needs to happen.
It needs to happen for who? What, Ben SHALOM, because he hasn't got anything else to deliver Martin BAKOLE. I actually saw something they said about, you know, Ben said about he's on the platform now. He was on Sky before. You know, the reality is, but the truth is Martin's always going to be a bit of a hard sell because he's sort of in the club of, you know, he's a brilliant fighter. So, but who's going to want to have a voluntary shot? I know they're talking about like the rankings, etc. But you know, we see some of the fights that were being talked about for this year. Unfortunately, I think they're going to struggle to get that fight, the fight that is for the good of the sport. But you know, good luck.
Frank, yeah, great night here in Cardiff. Once again, Joe Cordina, two-time world champion. Shout out to their whole team. Brilliant fight, and we'll catch up soon, Frank. Thank you.
Cheers, mate. Good to see you.
I refuse to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncer's guilt rings.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day,